Hey guys, Nate Keogh here, host of Fighting Illini Live. Wasn't planning on doing any post games for basketball games. It's a football first channel. Um, but oh my lord, I have some things I need to get off my chest after that Maryland Illinois game. That was a rough watch. Look how much of my hair I ripped out watching that game. That was absolutely brutal. The final score looks awful, and that doesn't even begin to define how bad it was. Their deficit was over 30 at multiple points. I got off. I was held up at my job today, so I missed the first 10-ish minutes of the game. And so I checked my phone as soon as I get on the train home. It is 29-10. Maryland is leading. Turns out I missed the entire game. The game was over the second I started watching. That was absolutely embarrassing. I mean, I know in my show Wednesday that I said that they could beat Maryland. I know I said that they could beat Maryland, but I predicted Maryland to win the entire Big Ten tournament at the end of this last live show on Wednesday. So I'm not exactly surprised that Maryland won this game, but to win it in this destructive fashion, kind of the same way they did in January, all the things I was saying that Illinois needs to do differently than that game in January that I was saying on Wednesday night, did not happen. That they had to limit turnovers. They got absolutely killed in the turnover differential. I'm not going to take away from Maryland. I think they're one of the best teams in the country, and I stressed that on Wednesday, and I stress that now. They're a sleeper pick to win the entire NCAA tournament, right? But that's just kind of what we've seen out of this Illinois basketball team this year. They can beat good teams, they can beat ranked teams, even on the road. But when they get into it with a team that actually has a chance, like an actual championship contender, like Maryland, like Michigan State, like Duke, like Alabama, they don't show up. They are so far behind these teams that are on a championship level. Illinois is certainly a good team this year. They will certainly be in the NCAA tournament. I think now pretty much locked into a 7 seed. I don't think they were going to fall below a 7 seed. They certainly had a chance to move up to a 6, maybe in a 5 if they won the whole Big Ten tournament. But that's not going to happen. This was just an awful, sloppy game. Way too many turnovers and bad turnovers too, not just routine turnovers. You got Yakashonis dribbling right into defenders and losing the ball. I don't know how many times I saw that. Just sloppy passes, bad fouls, early foul trouble. I talked about on Wednesday how one thing to be excited about if Illinois gets matched up with Maryland again is that Ivisic is playing. He did not play due to illness in the January game. It's almost like he wasn't out there today because he had 3 fouls by the time I started watching the game. There were like 7 minutes left in the first half. And when he got his third foul, he picked up his third foul as soon as I started watching. I mean, he was off the floor almost the entire game. It was really embarrassing, and it's really frustrating. A lot of people are seeing this Illinois team going very far in March, right? Everyone's talking about them as a sleeper pick. I just don't see it beyond winning. As a 7 seed now, you're gonna have to match up with a 2 seed, and Maryland is projected as a 3. Maryland isn't even supposed to be a 2 seed, and they've beaten them this bad twice. And now on a big stage. This Illinois team has given me no reason to believe they can compete with actual contenders. We can beat ranked teams, right? We can beat Michigan, we can beat Purdue, even though they're both not playing well. But when we get matched up with a hot team who I see as a championship contender, they fade. They had no offensive game plan. They were just dribbling straight into guys, passing it out of bounds. There's just no structure. They just absolutely panicked the second they got down. Again, the game was over before I even had a chance to turn it on today. It was absolutely brutal. And Maryland played a great game, right? There's a lot of things. Maryland didn't turn the ball over in the first half. The entire first half, they did not turn the ball over. Maryland had, let's see, only 3 turnovers the entire game. Illinois had 17, which is actually one more than they had in the January game. And that was my key to the game that I gave on Wednesday. So that pretty much sums that up for you. They actually did a little bit worse. Ivisic was in foul trouble almost the entire time. It was really bad, and the shooting was horrendous as well. 6 of 27 from 3. 6 of 27. That is 22%. Maryland shot 47.8% from 3. Their 3-point percentage was better than their field goal percentage. And when I was looking at the January game on Wednesday, I'm thinking, well, that's a fluke. And I don't think it's a fluke now that it's happened to you twice in a row. I mean, they burned you just as bad this time as they did in January. I mean, yeah, you're not going to predict Rodney Rice going 7 of 9 from 3. And he had 14 points before I even started watching the game. I mean, it was over. It was over so fast. They weren't even competitive. They showed a kid, like a little kid in an Illinois hat, 8.5 minutes left in the first half. He was crying. He is in tears because it was after Rodney Rice hit a and 1-3, which just shows you the level of discipline they were playing with to be fouling on a 3. They had a foul with 2 seconds left in the first half for no reason at all, just to add salt to the wound. It was really awful. And honestly, that just any hope I had for this Illinois basketball team is really, really just gone at this point. I'd love to see you guys give me some reasons to believe that they can compete with these championship level teams. But I just don't see it. Illinois is a good team, but they haven't proven that they're a great team because they get blown out by these teams that are championship contenders. And they're just not even close to the level of competing that they need to be at. We saw that last year with the UConn loss in the Elite Eight, and we've seen it. Saw it early in the season with Alabama. Saw it middle of the season, Michigan State. Saw it a couple weeks ago at Madison Square Garden against Duke. That was absolutely horrendous. And we just saw it for the second time this year against Maryland, getting beat worse. And that's with getting a lot of points in garbage time. Still lost by more than they did at home in the end of January. So those are my thoughts on tonight's game, guys. I'm very disappointed. Loyola did win their game today. That's why I have a little bit of hair left. But yeah, this is very upsetting. I mean, we'll see where Illinois ends up. I think 7th seed is practically a lock at this point. And I'll get into that on live show 5 on Wednesday. Try to cope with this loss, guys, as I will certainly be doing that. And enjoy St. Patty's Day weekend as much as you can after this loss. ILL.